Welcome to the results video for UFC 315. In this video we will find out which UFC prediction channels had the most and least correct picks, the highest and lowest return on investment, and which ones have the longest winning or losing streak. But first we go over the totals for this event and compare the Oddsmakers with the Tapology community and the YouTube prediction channels. On this card we had 12 fights and I tracked predictions from 126 channels and they made a total of 1399 predictions. So on average each channel made 11.1 predictions. Out of those 1399 predictions, 904 were correct for 64.6%, which is a bit higher than average, and 495 incorrect predictions for 35.4%. The favorite fighter in odds managed to win 7 out of 12. And had you placed a $100 bet on all the favorite fighters in odds on this card to win their fight, you could have lost $216 for a minus 18% return on investment. The underdogs did okay and won 5 out of 12. And as you can see on screen, most of the underdogs were relatively small underdogs. And had you placed a $100 bet on all the underdogs, you would have lost $65 for a minus 5.4 return on investment. The favorite in picks by the Tapology community did really well and they won 10 out of 12 for a profit of $404 and a 33.7% return on investment if you had followed all the favorite picks from the Tapology community. The favorite in picks by the YouTube prediction channels won 9 out of 12 for a profit of $194 and a 16.2% ROI. So for this event the Tapology community was best at predicting the outcome of each fight. Now, let's take a look at the results of the individual YouTube prediction channels and find out which ones fell short or came out on top. For the least and most correct picks, we will only look at channels that made picks on at least half of all the fights, so a minimum of 6 for this event. At number 5 for least correct picks for this event, we have the following 10 channels in alphabetical order, and all 10 of them had 6 out of 12 correct for 50%. At number 4 are Start MMA, MMA Play 365 and Tyrell from the Running Mouth MMA show. All 3 of them had 5 out of 11 predictions correct for 45.5%. In third place is Husky MMA. He had 4 out of 9 correct for 44.4%. In second place are Cody MMA and Mystic KO with 5 out of 12 correct for 41.7%. And in first place this week for the least correct picks, we have Sean from the Running Mouth MMA show and Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast with 4 out of 11 correct for a correct pick percentage of 36.4%. One thing to note is that Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast announced last week that he was retired from making predictions, but immediately the next event he makes predictions and well, these are the results. Maybe he should have stayed retired. At number 5 for most correct picks we have StudioMunro with 7 out of 9 picks correct for 77.8%. In fourth place are PickemMMA and Ben Duffy from Sherdog.com with 9 out of 11 correct for 81.8%. In third place in alphabetical order we have the following 7 channels: Axel MMA, FightFairy, MMA Attic, MMA Husky Hustler, MMADataGuy, Slim MMA and SportsBettingHUB. That was a lot of MMAs. All 7 had 10 out of 12 correct for 83.3%. In second place, we have Double Vision MMA 365 with 10 out of 11 picks correct for 90.9%. And in first place, the channel who had the most correct picks for UFC 315, we have UFConsultant with 11 out of 12 predictions correct for a correct pick percentage of 91.7%. So, congratulations to UFConsultant and the rest of the top 5 for having the most correct picks this week. Links to all these channels can be found in the video description. And here is the overview of all 126 channels that I've tracked this week, also including those channels that made less than 6 predictions, with their correct picks, their total picks and the correct pick percentage. For the most profitable and unprofitable predictors this week, we will only track channels that made picks on at least 50% of all the fights, which is 6 for this card. Every pick counts, regardless of confidence level or odds preference. We place a $100 bet on each pick to win their fight, aka the money line. We calculate the results using the odds from the tail of the tape. The rankings are based on the return on investment percentage. At number 10 for most unprofitable predictor this week we have Half the Battle with a return on investment of minus 25.2% over his 12 predictions. At number 9 is Hank's Warzone with a minus 26.5% ROI. At number 8 is Husky MMA with a minus 26.7% return on investment over his 9 picks. Sharing 7th place we have Shy Got Picks and UFC Gambling Addicts. They both made the exact same predictions and had a return on investment of minus 30.1%. MMA Play 365 is in 6th place. He made 11 predictions and had a return on investment of minus 32.3%. In 5th place is A-Side MMA with a minus 37.5% return on investment. In 4th place we have the channel with the least correct picks this week, which is Sean from the Running Mouth MMA show. He had a return on investment of minus 38.2% over his 11 picks. In 3rd place is Cody MMA. He had a return on investment of minus 43.8% over his 12 picks. In 2nd place is Mystic KO. He made 12 picks and had a return on investment of minus 44.8%. And in 1st place, the most unprofitable predictor for UFC 315 is Brandon from the Santino DeFranco podcast. If you had followed all of his 11 picks and placed a $100 bet on each of them to win their fight, aka the money line, you could have lost $558 for a return on investment of minus 50.8%. Which channels were the most profitable predictors if you had followed all of their picks? At number 10 are Axel MMA and MMADataGuy. They both made the exact same 12 picks and had a return on investment of 33.7%. At number 9 is Ben Duffy from Sherdog.com with a return on investment of 36.1%. Number 8 is Slim MMA with a 37.4% ROI. In 7th place is MMA Husky Hustler. He had a 37.9% ROI over his 12 predictions. In 6th place is MMA Attic with a return on investment of 41.6%. SportsBettingHUB is in 5th place. He had a return on investment of 43.2%. And in 4th place we have FightFairy. She had a 43.7% return on investment over her 12 picks. In 3rd place is PickemMMA. He made 11 predictions and had a return on investment of 50.6%. In 2nd place is UFConsultant, who had the most correct picks this week. He made a profit of $659 over his 12 predictions for a 54.9% return on investment. And the channel who was the most profitable predictor with his predictions for UFC 315 was Double Vision MMA 365. If you had followed all of his picks and placed a $100 bet on each of them to win their fight, aka the money line, you could have won $657 for a return on investment of 59.7%. So, congratulations to Double Vision MMA 365 for being the most profitable predictor this week. Links for the top 10 most profitable predictors can be found in the video description. And here is the overview of all 126 channels that I've tracked this week, including those that made picks on less than 6 fights, with their money won and lost and their return on investment percentage. One funny thing to notice in this overview is that the top and the bottom are from the same podcast. Santino from the Santino DeFranco podcast made 5 picks and all 5 of them were correct for a 105.9% return on investment. But when we look at the bottom of the list, we see his co-host Brandon with a minus 50.8% return on investment, having the worst results. Which channels have the longest losing streak or winning streak? We start with the longest losing streak. The following 13 channels in alphabetical order have lost 3 weeks in a row with their picks. Out of those 13, the following 6 channels are on a 4-week losing streak. And out of those 6 channels, all 6 of them are also on a 5-week losing streak. But none of these 6 channels have lost 6 weeks in a row. Now, which channels are on the longest winning streak? The following 13 channels in alphabetical order are on a 3-week winning streak. Out of those 13 channels, 11 are on a 4-week winning streak. Out of those 11 channels, only 3 are on a 5-week winning streak, which are Czaleo, Fresh Start MMA and Rigo. But only one of those 3 channels is on a 6-week winning streak, which is Rigo. So congratulations to Rigo and the rest of the channels that have the longest winning streak. Links to the top 3 of them can be found in the video description. Hope you enjoyed the results video of the best and worst predictors this week. If you did or found it helpful, drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. And if you want to support the channel while getting exclusive updates, consider becoming a Patreon supporter or a member on Buy Me a Coffee. Thank you so much for watching, have a great week, and I will see you in the next video.